What's this, some new kind of dance? Nope, it's America's newest sport, and it's called skateboarding. Skateboarding. Skateboarding.
There are over 2,800 skate parks in America today, and new ones pop up every year. At this point, every major city in the country has at least one skate park, and it's honestly hard to find a city or town without a skate park available. In fact, I was in the small town of Hamilton, Montana at the end of the summer, which is a town with a population of about 5,000, and I was still able to find a skate park there. Honestly, this little town skate park had one of the prettiest backdrops for a skate park I've ever seen, but I'm getting a little sidetracked now. With skate parks so readily available, it's difficult to imagine a time when there wasn't a skate park or two in every city. However, in the early 1960s, people would have thought you were out of your gourd if you would have asked where the nearest skate park was. So when and where did the first skate park get built? And what was it like? To answer those questions, we must go back in time to the early 1960s and look at what was going on in the world of skateboarding at the time. No one knows the exact year or the exact place the first skateboard was created, but we do know that it was sometime in the 1940s in California. Throughout the 50s, the sport began to spread across the country, and by the early 1960s, it became a pretty popular activity. So popular, in fact, that skateboard manufacturers couldn't keep up with demands. Now, most people that were skateboarding or sidewalk surfing were doing this just up and down their street, but there wasn't a real dedicated place for skateboarders to go and ride around. This made it quite dangerous to ride skateboards around the neighborhood, so when riding around, you'd have to avoid cracks, people, and cars, all while doing it on some clay wheels that could probably break at any given moment. Even in California, they didn't have a skate park for people to go and practice, and that's the state where skateboarding is almost always associated with. Skateboarding began in California, and many professional skateboarders reside in the state. So you would assume the first skate park would have to be somewhere in California, but you'd be wrong. North of California in the state of Oregon, there is the town of Albany. With a population of about 56,000 people and very few notable traits, there lived a man named Robert Weyerweck. Now, unfortunately, there is not much information out there about Robert. In fact, the best image I could find of him was this very dark photo of him from a 1967 newspaper. So for the sake of clarity, I'm going to recast Robert for this video. This should work. Robert had a dream to create a skateboard park in his town of Albany, Oregon. His main goal of the project was to be able to create and build a concept of a skate park that he could then sell across the United States. Keep in mind, this wasn't in a time of street skating. Most people were not doing tricks down steps or grinding on rails, they were simply just riding around, and maybe doing some weird and wild freestyle tricks. But that's pretty much it. So Robert got to work on creating a skate park, but he couldn't build it alone. So we partnered with Dick Reimers, also recasted, who was associated with the Reimers Construction Company. Though I could not find out Reimers' exact role in the company, I can only assume that he owned it in some form or fashion. After being hired by Robert, Dick Reimers went to work testing a variety of materials for the skate park. He was trying to find materials that would not warp, splinter, or soften, but would also endure rainy weather, as this concept was going to be sold to all different climate types across the country. Eventually, they came to the conclusion that the best material for the job was 3/4-inch hardboard overlay, which is similar to particle board and is usually used for flooring, furniture, home appliances, clipboards, and eventually would be used as the final layer when building a half pipe. So Reimers was definitely onto something when he selected this type of material to use. Reimers got to work on building the track that Weyerweck had designed. The track was oval shaped with another smaller track inside of it. It consisted of slopes and curves for skaters to ride. To outsiders, the track must have looked like some sort of cheap and dangerous experimental roller coaster. Reimers and Weierweck, and I'm assuming some other employees, began creating the indoor skate park. I'd imagine the vibe was similar to like a roller skating rink that you would see today, minus a DJ who exclusively plays songs from when he was in high school. After construction was complete, the park was set to open on July 1st, 1965. As the weekend of July 1st rolled around, there were a variety of events planned during the grand opening weekend to welcome skaters and non-skaters alike. Anyone could join the fun and ride around the park with a skateboard rental at the high price of 25 cents. On Saturday, there was a skate show that displayed local talent from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. On Sunday, there was a skateboard demo from the state championship competition team. Also on Sunday, they would announce the winner of the naming contest. I'm not exactly sure what they were naming because as far as I can tell, the park was always named the Albany Skateboard Center. Maybe they were naming Robert's pet fish or something. I don't know, I really wish I could have found that out and what the winning name was. Because the skate park was part of a small town and that it is very early skateboard history, it's very hard to tell how this opening weekend went. But it's not how you start, it's how you finish, right? The year after the Skateboard Center opened was a roller coaster for Robert. First, the Skateboard Center was moved within the first year of opening. Even though this was probably a ton of work to take down and move the track, it did allow Robert to make some changes to the design. He added a flat deck to his design to allow beginner skateboarders to get used to the board before riding around, and it would also allow riders to dismount at a central location. The second innovation was the formation of a recreation section. Since the new location was adjacent to a golf course, my best guess is that it meant that there was an area for golfers to watch the skateboarders and vice versa. Though there is not a lot of information out there to confirm this, I'm mainly just throwing a theory out there. The new location was also near a restaurant and it attracted a lot of people who were dining to come check out the skateboard center after their meal. Or at times, parents would continue their adult conversations about mortgages or something and send the kids over to ride around for a bit. Robert and his wife were the primary employees of the Skateboard Center during the summer, and the Weierwecks were always surprised by who wanted to try out skateboarding. Mrs. Weierweck once was shocked when a young man in his Sunday suit arrived and wanted to rent a skateboard for the day. For a small town, the Skateboard Center's first year was mostly a success, but it wasn't Robert's dream to run the Skateboard Center, nor was it where he expected the profits to come from. Remember, he wanted to sell his design to other cities and make a profit that way. The first year of operation left Robert with a whopping single sale for his design of the product, even after getting some attraction at a convention at the National Industrial Recreation Center. There wasn't anyone willing to put the money forward. A lot of people seemed interested in the idea, but not the actual product. Some people would call and ask questions about how the weather affected it, and others called to ask if it could be built with concrete rather than wood. Call after call, and no one ordered except for one person from Kelso, Washington. Reimers, that was the dude who did the construction of the park, claims that he thought the design wasn't selling because of how expensive it was to buy and build the nearly 600-foot track. From all the research I did, I do not think that Robert ever sold more than one design to the man in Washington. The articles I could find about the Skateboard Center come to a halt after the first year anniversary. As you could probably guess, the Skateboard Center eventually closed. I could only guess its exact location based on this old Facebook group post I found, which was showing pictures of the restaurant that was on the same street. Luckily for the folks of Albany, Oregon, it wasn't their last skate park. They eventually did get a real concrete skate park put up in the small town. I hope that wherever Robert is, he knows that kids are still skating in his small town. Robert Weierweck's dream of making skate parks across the country may not have turned out the exact way he was hoping. People weren't pounding down his doors trying to get that blueprint design of the skate park. But in a way, Robert was way ahead of his time. He knew that there needed to be a central, safe location for people to skate. He knew what parts of skateboarding were the most fun and how to capitalize on that. And he knew there had to be a specific hardware type to use, which would later become the standard for half pipes. from my research, it's clear to me that Robert was an innovator. Even when his skate park was forced to move, he made additions to the park to make it better for skaters and help non-skaters gain interest in skateboarding. If anyone has any more information about the Albany Skateboard Center or Robert Wyrowek, I would love for you to reach out to me. I'd love to create a follow-up video with more information. Like I said, a lot of early skateboarding history is lost to time and can only be shared by stories from people who were actually there. There are now skate parks across the country in almost every single city, and in a way they are representations of that first little skate park. So many of the modern skate parks have places to cruise or to do tricks or just to watch others skate. But the thing that Robert was 100% correct about was that it's important to create a space to enjoy skateboarding with other people who enjoy skateboarding.
Suddenly, the world I used to know, I see it differently. You woke me from a dream, now here's reality. Baby, baby, you are really hurting me. 'Cause every time you tell me I look good in bed, I'm doing fine, but nothing ever changed.